Hola, mi gente. It's your girl here. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm coming on here to speak about purpose because if you're like me, there was a time in my life when I was wondering, what is my purpose here? And that is something that is not taught. So I figured I'd come out here to kind of break down what I think finding your purpose can be like. And this has a lot to do with self-love, self-first, as always. So now, purpose. Purpose in life is when you really find that moment, the energy, the reason for doing something that you basically want to do. Like, you ever had a person ask you, what's your purpose? What are you here for? What do you want to do in life? Right? And until you find your purpose, there's a point in life where you're just living and doing what the average person is doing. Working, making money, living, breathing, laughing, loving, which all sounds great, right? However, there is a point in time sometimes when you're like, what's the purpose of this all? Like, what's the purpose of me working? What's the purpose of me getting up every single morning? What is the purpose? I'm not making the money. This is not my business. Where's the money going to? You start to come out with like 20,000 questions. And for some reason or another, you feel like there's more to it, right? Because I know there was a time when I used to say, there's more to life. I know there's more. And for some reason, I just couldn't pinpoint it. But then again, I really had nobody to ask, per se. How do you find your purpose? How do you realize what do you want to do in life, right? And it is actually a lot more simpler than we put it out to be. When you're finding your purpose, you must know yourself. Okay, so everyone has many different personalities, and we're all individuals on this earth, looking different, acting different, being different. That's just individual, you know? That's the purpose of being an individual. So you must be yourself. Don't want to be like me, and I don't want to be like you. You understand? So now, when you are being yourself, you do what you're taught. You do what you know. And you do better when you know better, is my motto. However, there's a lot of people who, like myself, you don't really know better because you're not exposed to better. And don't wait for something drastic in your life to happen in order for you to make that decision. Even though there's no judgment in those moments either, because a lot of people, like myself, something happens in life and then all of a sudden you peel off, you pull away from the every single day things that you're doing. And in the midst of doing that, you start to realize how toxic some things are. And that toxicity at one time or another drives people to make their decisions, right? So the drive you have within, the knowledge you have within, is what helps you also to create your purpose. Now, I truly believe Because what you need for yourself is the purpose of sharing that with others to help them. Because just like you, there are many more out there like you. And people can relate. They can relate. They can relate to your struggles. They can relate to your toxicities, you know? They can relate to the wanting to have more, have different, be better. You understand? They can relate to that. And in the midst of me learning to self-love, self-first with myself, is when I realized that my purpose was to help others. Don't judge me. It might sound boring, but you probably haven't reached those heights yet. So maybe one day you will, or maybe you already have. However, it's really just that simple. When you learn to truly love yourself, when you learn how valuable you are, when you learn how to raise your value, and I'm not talking about having expensive material things. No, that's not loving yourself. That's like putting a band-aid on everything. If you ask me, you know? So don't use materials to put band-aids on wounds, especially if you've lived life and you've experienced certain obstacles in life that have given you what you would consider the bad end of the stick, or the outcome wasn't what you expected. That's okay. First of all, learn to change your karma. Learn to rise above. Learn to live life and be fruitful so you are not bitter. Learn that a purpose comes from you loving yourself. And when you learn to love yourself immensely, you start to realize what you need. Therefore, you realize maybe someone else needs the same thing. And you start to create your purpose. You start to create your vision. You start to be creative because you become more passionate at believing and knowing, because you helped yourself and you know that it works. So therefore you can help others. And you know, because it helped you, that's when you really, really, truly believe. And I feel that way. I know for sure this is it. And that is my explanation of finding your purpose, of becoming a person that knows how to help others. No matter how it may sound or what level of life you're on, eventually you will reach that point. But I tell you one thing, it is best that you do it while you're young, you're mobile, you can help yourself be ageless, and help yourself be happy, be kind, be loving. So when you do come out to others, it is reciprocated to you, the same love that you give yourself. Okay? So that's my explanation on how to find a purpose. Self-love, self first, at all times. Ciao.